All right, so we're live now. All right, can everyone turn on their video, please? Keep it on, if you could. Thank you.
For coordinators, right?
All right, Mr. Collins. Yeah, you're better off in the other chair. And maybe center yourself to the frame, Mr. Collins. Can you switch to the other chair? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. You want me to go back the way I was?
No, go to the chair that's next to you, to your left. And center, so you're in center of the
Yeah, that's
frame.
what I'm doing. That's why I had the camera on. Because I'm at my dining room table.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Say something really quick, just let me hear your audio.
Oh, Mr. Collins?
Do you have an earpiece that can go in the computer?
You're talking to me?
Yeah. Yes, no?
I do, but my computer is way up there. I'm way at the end of my dining room table. My computer way up there.
Mr. Collins, I'm asking you just because with an audio item in, your voice will be clearer.
Yes, I have one.
Say that again?
Yes, I have one.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to get started. All right, so we'd like to welcome everyone to our Designer Style Buys Roundtable. This is our third episode in the series. This series takes place once a month, so we'd like to welcome any guests, and we'll also like to welcome our designer guest panelists, along with our show hosts. We'd like to go around the table and just introduce each one of our guest panelists right now. First, we're going to start with Sue. Sue, if you can give a quick introduction of yourself along with your brand, excuse me, a little detail to the audience, just so they're aware of your background, a brief synopsis if you can.
Hi, I'm actually Melissa Bro, and I'm with Sobro, and I'm located out of Virginia. I am fairly new. I only started my brand about October last year. I have the vision for apparel for all, for diversity of sizes and shapes.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for joining our panel. We're honored to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And by the way, Sue will be showcasing during Fashion Week here in New York. There is a pandemic going on, but we're doing everything with a lot of care with regards to social distancing indoors. The show will be taking place at a private gallery in the Gallery District, the Callum Gallery here in New York. And Sue will be showing her collection this season. We will be live streaming the show too also. So again, Sue, thank you very much. Next, we have Mr. Augustine. Mr. Augustine is based out of Miami, Florida. Mr. Augustine, if you could, please give the audience a brief synopsis and introduction of yourself and your brand, if you could.
I'm Mr. Augustine. I'm a fashion student at Miami Fashion Institute. I own the brand Fresh Shop. It is a luxury brand. So I will be presenting this year. This will be my first fashion show at PLITZS.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Augustine. And Mr. Augustine, if you could just give the show audience just a little more detail on your brand, but come a little closer to your computer. We're having a hard time hearing you. Your voice is very low.
It is a luxury brand where I'm trying to take it to another level and to have other designer that don't have like basically the resources to build up their brand, so we can help them, and as we get a percentage where they could be able to collab with us and show their collection to our system, to our brand. So their own so they can take on. So that's what I'm trying to do with the brand. I'm trying to build it into like a organization basically.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Augustine. We're happy to have you and honored to have you. So thank you for taking the time to join our Designer Style Buys Roundtable today. Next, we have Mr. Peters, Johnny Abstract. Mr. Abstract, could you give a quick introduction of yourself and your brand to the audience, if you could? Did we lose Mr. Abstract? Or maybe he needs to unmute. Yeah. Mr. Abstract, just unmute for us so we could hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. So we were saying if you could give us a brief introduction of your fashion design brand and yourself.
How you doing, guys? My name is Johnny Abstract. My brand is Johnny Abstract LLC. I've been in this fashion business for 2 years. My brand is mostly high-end and vintage. I've done, a couple fashion shows around the city. As you all are all aware, we haven't been able to do as much, but we still managed to sell online and have pop-up shops and stuff like that. But I'm definitely looking forward to this year's fashion show with you guys, and just great to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abstract. We're honored to have you too, and thank you. By the way, to the audience, not everyone is in the most ideal position because, as you know, people they work, they're at doing different things, different times. So just be aware of that. That not all the locations are ideal, but we're happy that they took the time to be available. So thank you, Mr. Abstract. Now I'm going to introduce our two show hosts for today. First, we have Kayla. Kayla is one of our senior styling wardrobe coordinators of PLITZS Fashion Marketing. Kayla, if you could give us a brief introduction, if you could, please.
Hi, my name is Kayla Samuels. I'm Senior Fashion Styling and Wardrobe Coordinator with PLITZS. I've been with PLITZS for almost a year. It'll be a year in October. And I love working with the company. I love everything that it's doing for up-and-coming designers. And I can't wait to speak with everybody today and get to know everybody a little bit more.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, Kayla. Next, we have Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, our backstage manager during our show during Fashion Week here in New York. Mr. Collins, can you give the audience a quick introduction, if you could, please?
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is, again, like he said, Mr. Emmanuel Collins, backstage manager for PLITZS Fashion Week. I am also CEO of Beautification of God's Creation, which is a full-service styling platform. I do weddings, I do TV, I do print, I do photo shoots, homes, businesses, personal stylists, celebrity stylists, and things of that nature. And it's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you, Mr. Shields.
Thank you very much. I'd like to also acknowledge some of the behind-the-scenes staff. We have Brendan Dimming, who's handling our show coordination today, along with Brendan's actually one of our media coordinators. Juan Medrano, our public relations senior coordinator. And we have Julia Urbis, who is one of our production and marketing coordinators. So they're behind the scenes handling things. So you're not seeing them on camera, but they're a big help to the show. We're going to touch on our first topic for this evening. Again, just to explain to the audience, our designer style buys is a roundtable where we're just having a discussion with our three panelists, where they're going to give their opinion, their experiences with regards to the agenda topic items that we're discussing today. And hopefully you gain some knowledge or experience that might benefit you from their experience and what they've been through or their point of view with regards to these topic items. Now I'm going to turn this over to Kayla and Emmanuel, if you could.
Okay. So I'll start. Listening to everybody's introductions, everybody seems to be up and coming. So for our first topic, it's steps for planning a successful New York Fashion Week collection presentation. However, not everybody has been able to participate in a fashion week, I don't think. So when designing a collection, what is the first step to designing a collection? And I will start with Mr. Augustine.
For my first collection, I always look for inspiration at first. I never been to any fashion show in New York. I never done this. This is basically I'm just now getting into it. So now it was inspiration and I really wanted to do it and to see how's the experience because I'm trying to build a brand and trying to make something way bigger than what it is. So I just take inspiration. I know how to design a collection, colors, between all that nature. That's how I came up. That's how I came up to design my first collection.
Okay. And then for Mr. Johnny Abstract, because you said that you've done a couple of fashion shows. What about you, Mr. Abstract? What is the first step for you when making a collection for a fashion show, or just period?
I was thinking about the theme, like the theme of the collection. You know what I mean? Like if it's gonna be like something that's, a specific, event, like how we have the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, or if it's something cultural, like something that's based in Ethiopia or Korea, because my brand mostly deals in like, with culture and like a lot of universal textiles and stuff like that. So it's more the theme. What's the first thing that I'm going to think of for like a collection? Like my collection right now is 2020 vision. So it's basically just to tell like a vision of exactly as to where I'm going with, everything that I'm making right now.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like telling a story.
Basically telling a story as to, like from, where I am now and where what I'm going to be going, with everything that's going on right now.
Mr. Abstract, if you don't mind if I interrupt really quick, Kayla. Mr. Abstract, how long have you been designing?
Say that again?
How long have your designing tenure been? How long have you been designing?
2 years.
2 years. Now, has the theme of your brand changed since you first started, or is it still evolving, you think?
It's still evolving.
Still evolving? Okay, and we're give us a little, so the audience has a little perspective. Well, what was the theme behind your brand initially when you first birthed the brand, and what is it currently?
The theme of it is mostly like Native American inspired and more along the lines of like Asian inspired, so like a little bit of mix. It's basically like in pertaining to like my background because I'm part Native American and Indian, so I kind of place a little bit of like culture into my brand and stuff like that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Abstract.
Cool.
I have a question as well. This question is for is it Bro?
Bro, yes, sir.
All righty. So we're talking about planning and being a successful planning for a collection. How did you partner with PLITZS Marketing? Have you seen some of the work in the past? What made you choose the platform of PLITZS to actually be a platform for your collection?
Well, actually, I was contacted by one of the members of PLITZS because I was able to show in New York Fashion Week in February this year through a different opportunity, and they saw some of my collection, and from that, I just had the interview with Mr. Shields and looked into the PLITZS and just really enjoyed what you guys stood for and loved the opportunity to partner with you guys.
Good. I heard Mr. Johnny Abstract talking about the theme or the general aesthetic of his collection. What are you planning for your success for this particular upcoming collection in the fall?
I'm actually planning on doing a wedding theme because I was given a lot of silk as a just an awesome opportunity to use. So it just led into using this, and I just wanted to challenge myself to go big and use this opportunity for what I could show that I can do.
Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Collins, to Sue, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Tell me, Sue, what would you do differently this time around on your second go around showcasing during Fashion Week here in New York? You said you showcased back in February, now it's September, totally different circumstances. There wasn't a pandemic full blown in February, obviously, but what would you do differently this time around?
Honestly, everything. It was only my second show ever in presenting in New York Fashion Week last time. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't have any idea how to leverage or to even plan what the possibilities could be. So I feel like I didn't have any follow through with the opportunities that I was given. So I just feel like it was like a wasted opportunity. Like I went and I showed, and that was mainly it.
Well, I'm actually glad that you brought up that point. That's kind of why I made the inquiry. One of the things that I always try to have a dialogue with brands about is about how important it is for them to have a plan leading up to Fashion Week. It's not just about, and a lot of brands get caught up in the aesthetic aspect of Fashion Week, you know, designing the clothes and all of that, which is great, right? That's the core to everything. But it's more than just throwing it on the runway and everything is going to just miraculously fall in place after that. It just doesn't work that way. You need a strategical game plan with your team. If you don't have a team, I always suggest to people, go get yourself interns or, you know, get yourself some help because, you know, doing everything yourself is not going to last and have your business grow. So I always tell brands, you know, the photos and videos from the collection showing is actually the most important thing, in my opinion, that of doing this all these years, that you're going to get from showcasing. And then leveraging that after the show, leveraging that on social media. Brands today have a huge advantage over brands from 20, 30 years ago, where social media didn't exist. Now you have social media, it's like having a PR firm, and you can leverage that yourself without having to pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to a PR firm. You can actually market your brand via social media and get a lot of traction from that and attention. So it's something that I really try to emphasize the brand leading up to the show, doing the marketing. I mean, from doing quick clips, I know Mr. Abstract is pretty good at that. I see his stuff on Instagram all the time, where he's at a photo shoot, he's designing, he's getting ready for the show, and he uses that and he leverages that to build and get his audience hyped up and anticipating his collection showing. And even the day of show, if you're coming in from out of town, do some live stream from the airport. When you get to the venue, backstage, people are looking for all those little tidbits, even if it's a 10, 15-second video. But you got to put a strategy and a game plan behind it, not just doing it randomly. But I'm really glad you brought up that point, Sue. I think a lot of designers need to know that, because a lot of emerging new young brands, they're caught up in the fantasy of showcasing, right? That whole excitement, which is great. You know, that's part of why you do it. But there's the business aspect and the strategical game plan part of it. So, you know, and hearing you talk, I see that you lived through that experience. So thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Collins, I'll throw it back to you and Kayla.
I just want to add a thing to all the designers, Celebro, Augustine, and Abstract. We're talking about the theme and the aesthetic. I want you to all to remember that you also have to establish an atmosphere. The atmosphere and the theme goes together. So the music selection, it becomes an experience. Make sure that when you are presenting your collection, you pick out the right music and make sure the atmosphere is conducive for your collection, and people will receive it the way you present it. I just wanted to throw that in, just from my own experience.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Before we continue, one of our guests just arrived, and I want to just give a quick introduction, if you don't mind, to everyone before we go further. We have Claire Elizabeth, Claire Allen. Claire, I see that you're on the move. Just unmute for us real quick so we could hear you.
Oh.
We hear you.
You're still on mute.
Undo it.
Claire, you're still on mute. Can you hear us, Claire?
Yes, I
There
can.
you go. Now we can
There
hear
we go.
you.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for arriving a little bit late. Slightly different time on island time, but yeah, no, I'm very excited to participate. Hopefully some travel restrictions get lifted. So yeah.
Okay. So you're outside of the US right now?
No, I am currently in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Okay, I thought you said island time. I think you said Georgia timing.
No, I'm on an island off of Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Ivy Island.
Technically part of Georgia. It's right outside of Savannah.
Ivy Island.
Yes.
I did a wedding on Tybee Island. How about that?
I'm sorry?
I did a wedding on Tybee Island.
Oh, you did? No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Claire, for joining. Show host, you can integrate Claire in your line of questioning. We'll throw it back to Kayla.
Okay, so for my next question, do you have any advice? I'll just go down the line, but do you have any advice for anyone wanting to get their foot in the door with going into a fashion show or fashion week? I'll start with Ms. So.
For me, it was connections. It was networking. For my first fashion show, I really made some connections with my models, and that just led to one of my models I just picked for a Central Virginia Fashion Week, and not knowing that she had like 12,000 Instagram followers, and she had all these opportunities that not only she had, but she was like, hey, come on, and just was welcoming, and like the connections that her and I built together, and then led to me having connections and just networking. And so just the networking and taking care of your models. And for me, it's connections.
Yeah, I've always heard that. It's
Yeah.
No.
I'll fully agree with that. My first fashion show that I was in Vancouver Fashion Week, and I still keep in touch with all my models. A lot of them will come to New York. And, you know, if you find a good model, you have a good fit model, you have a good runway model, you know that your clothing will fit them. And that's, in my opinion, one of those important things on the runway. Because if it fits them, everyone will see it in that way.
All right.
So Claire, we're gonna fill you in real quick about what we just was talking about, me and Kayla as the host. The first question we were talking about, the topic we was talking about was the steps to planning or for planning a successful New York collection presentation. And we spoke with Sol and Augustine and Johnny, and they were saying that the themes and the general aesthetic, and we were talking about that kind of thing. And I brought up the atmosphere of a fashion collection, making sure that the music and the lighting or whatever you're trying to bring across is conducive. Did you want to add anything to our first topic before we transition into our second topic?
Yes, of course. So I was in New York Fashion Week this past season, and I would say having a very cohesive collection that also matches with the music, atmosphere, models that you choose is very important. Personally, I like to just kind of be very random with my collection, and you have to learn how to make everything connect. So I think besides that, y'all pretty much covered it.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Samuels, Kayla.
Okay. So that was the end of the first topic. segment. Sorry. So for the next segment, it is how can emerging and young designers raise funds to showcase during Fashion Week, which we kind of touched on a little bit, but I'll start with Mr. Augustine. Since you are the youngest, how do you or how did you raise funds?
Um, to be honest, I really don't know. I didn't raise any fund. So far, all the events I made for the collection I'm showing this fall, it was all me. There was nobody else. I didn't like go out and like trying to get fun to help
Mhm,
me. It's been me all along. So
mhm.
yes.
Okay. And what about for you, Mr. Abstract? When you first started, did you raise any funds to get you started, or did you kind of just do everything on your own, Mr. Abstract?
In terms of raising funds, um, when it comes to an event, I've learned that e-commerce is a very powerful tool in terms of selling. Um, Also, I agree with Mr. Shields on having a very strong and responsible team that is going to both be on time and be able to multitask with planning, promoting the event, having sub promoters,
Right.
so that you don't have to do all the work yourself. So that those sub promoters are promoting the brand. Like you don't even have to do anything. Like they can just be promoting your brand while you're sleeping, and everything is working according to plan.
All right.
Um, so just having a strong team, um, using social media, because I use Shopify all the time to make transactions and purchases and sell items and stuff like that. Um, and just consistently like networking, having pop-up shops, while the event is going on and stuff like that, having pop-up shops and stuff like that, and having a professional there to deal with, all of the clientele that's going to be coming in, because you don't know who's going to come in, having business cards and stuff like that. So that's, basically my, philosophy.
So, Mr. Abstract, Wayne Shields here. So tell me, what is there anything you're doing different now than when you first started out in trying to generate funds for your brand to showcase during Fashion Week? And let me correct myself. I'm assuming that you've showcased during Fashion Week before, have you?
I have.
Okay. How did you go about the first time around you showcase? Is there anything you do differently then as opposed to now when it comes to trying to generate funds to put towards your collection showing?
Um, I would say the pop-up shop part, because I'm not really a pop-up shop person. I like to do like that sort of business either in an actual shop that you're able to sit in the front and see the customers come in, kind of like a retail shop, like Steve Madden or Aldo's, or um, you walking into a Versace shop. You know what I mean? And you're able to five step and break the ice and talk to people and
So do
build a.
you think virtually it would be any different? Do you think doing it
Um,
virtually would be different? Would it be a different experience for you?
well,
Not having the face-to-face engagement as opposed to having it online?
now, um, with the pop-up shop situation, I'm now, getting into the groove of that, because my stuff has always been online. Between using Shopify and selling online, that's always been my thing. So now, like with the pop-up shop, we're drawing in more clientele internationally and within New York than before.
Yeah, I think that's the opportunity that some brands are not realizing. I think some people are failing to realize that they need to make pivots, right? And pivot quickly. Otherwise, they're going to drown in this business, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of the things that were done offline at brick and mortars, things like that, like pop-up shops, we plan to do one virtually, to do one virtually. So I think the engagement is still there, but you have a broader and wider reach on a global level. And I think that's where a lot of brands need to jump on right away. Take advantage of the fact that a lot of people are stationary and you don't have to like train people to want to engage online. This whole pandemic has forced people to tether more and be used to doing interactions and transactions online. So I think you're heading in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Abstract.
Thank you.
Kayla, Mr. Collins, I'll pass it back to you.
I'd like to add to what Mr. Abstract was just saying. I do know that pop-up shops or even a boutique has, I know in the past, it helped funded a New York Fashion Week financial for funds. And this was years ago, even before I started doing Fashion Week like I'm doing it now. There was a couple, and they were doing unisex clothes, and they did a pop-up shop, and it was a tour of a pop-up shop in the different cities inside that state, and they took it to the next state. So I do know that's a very lucrative opportunity for you to raise funds to promote your entry for Fashion Week. So I think that was a really good idea. I want to hear from Sobro. Did you have any input on funds and planning and raising monies for Fashion Week?
Right now, I probably have the what you don't do, and I've been self-funding and working. I was working full-time. I have finally gotten to where I can go to a part-time job so that I can work put more into my business and start. But I've been doing alterations and stuff like that. But I'm actually taking more notes this segment than I probably can give, but it's been more self-funded and just I've been given some material, and so a lot of it has been just been able to be using that.
Well, if I could interject, Sue, listen, I went off on my own business back in 2001. There's nothing wrong with self-funding in the beginning. A lot of people actually don't start their business because sometimes they're waiting for someone to invest or for them to get a windfall, and they hesitate pulling the trigger on moving forward because they feel like they don't have the funding. Sometimes you just gotta, sacrifice, reach into your own pocket just to get the ball rolling. I think the whole idea in business is and whether it's fashion or any business, to be quite frank, it's just a matter of getting the ball rolling. Once you get the ball rolling, you'd be so surprised how opportunities come to you. And once again, I'm going to mention the web, social media. Yes. That is such a lucrative platform opportunity for anyone doing business. And it's just a matter of learning how. And I tell people, go to YouTube. It's the best free university around. And learn how to do marketing. You have high-end experts that people pay university fees to hear from that are actually telling you how to do things on YouTube. So, you can quickly learn things. You don't have to physically go to a library. There's so many advantages of our digital world that we live in now that people should take advantage of. And it's much easier to start and roll out a business. And you can do it at a lower entry point when it comes to cost. So I'm curious to hear from Ms. Allen too, and Mr. Augustine, their opinions on this. Back to our host.
We still have time for this segment, Mr. Shields, or are we moving on to the third?
We do. We'll message that to you, but we do.
Oh, all righty. So we heard from Mr. Abstract. Do we hear from Mr. Augustine?
Yeah, we need to hear from Clear and Mr. Augustine.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Augustine, and then we'll let Ms. Elizabeth chime in afterwards. Mr. Augustine, what is your take on for an emerging designer having funds to participate in a New York Fashion Week platform? What is your take on that?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it with self-funding, to find someone that be able to fund it. I didn't look for anybody to give me fund. I've been like, I didn't want to wait. I just want to see the experience. I just want to know how I feel because I've never been able to do that. So I was like, I have to pay it on my own. I couldn't find anybody, so it was on me. So I have to do it on my own. So, but for the next collection, or no, for the upcoming project that I have for the brand, definitely I will need someone that's to fund my collection.
A sponsor, if you will.
Yes. Definitely.
All right. Miss Elizabeth, did you care to chime in?
Sure. So for a while, I had a full-time job in New York City, and did this. I was doing my own designing plus designing for somebody else, both full-time, no sleep at all. It's kind of what you do. That helped pay for it. And also I started a GoFundMe and asked all my friends to post it on all their social media accounts, obviously posted on all of mine, emailed everyone, and I had raised probably about $1,000 from that, which was great for materials. And I was lucky enough to be able to work in the fashion industry again. So therefore I made a lot of connections that would give me, rolls and rolls of fabric from other couture, more well-known designers who wanted to just throw it away. So whatever cutting room would then give it to me for free, which was always very entertaining to see me on the train with 50 pounds of fabric in my hand. So
that's interesting because I think you meant.
And I will just say this really quickly. If I lose y'all, I will be back within 10 minutes of losing y'all. Service isn't great, so I'm just warning y'all right now.
All right, it's all right. We can hear you pretty well.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just reminded of what Sobro had said about weddings and her material that she was giving, and she's branched out into that particular theme for this upcoming runway. So I just wanted to drop that in. Kayla, do you have anything else to ask or add?
No, everybody already kind of answered all of the questions. You asked good questions. I will ask Ms. Sobro really quickly. Did you have any difficulties when starting and getting the funds to fund everything? I know doing it on your own, of course, it's always good to invest in yourself, but did you have any difficulties?
I do, because, of course, life and having bills and in that, it's just been a leap of faith, just going down to part-time, but it's what do you want to do? So I just wanted to go into the fashion industry, and I've been given opportunities for fashion shows. And so I figured that it may be a struggle, but that's what makes me want to go harder. And that's part of the reason that self-funding for me is probably right now the best thing for me. Is I know that I'm going to go after it harder, because I'm the one that has everything to lose.
Right.
So
Well, I appreciate all of the input on that. And we're going to move on, with permission of Kayla. We're going to move on to our last topic. Our question for the last topic is, what is the future of New York Fashion Week in your own opinion? I'm going to ask all the panelists. The first panelist I'm going to direct a question to is, I'm just going to go ahead and stay with Sobro. What do you think the future of New York Fashion Week consists of? What do you think it is in your own opinion?
For me, I'd like to see a lot of diversity in sizes in
models and clothes.
What's that?
Models and clothes as far as diversity?
Yes.
Okay.
In models and clothes. That is part of what I believe in. I don't I had somebody who was very open with me about how she struggled as both with her skin color and her size, that she has a hard time getting into modeling. And I just don't I just don't understand that. So for me, I would love to see New York Fashion Week be more diversified. And for my brand, that's what I will always strive for. We
appreciate that. I respect that. And I appreciate that as a stylist. I appreciate that, because I style more than one body type. And usually me that's doing the shopping from boutiques or designers, it's hard to find clothing that, for different body types. But I just don't dress models. I dress the world. We're going to ask the same question to Mr. Augustine. What do you think the future of New York Fashion Week consists of? What is your take on that, sir?
I can't really say anything about that because I haven't had the experience already. So
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump to Mr. Johnny Abstract. What do you think the future of New York Fashion Week is, especially from your experience already with New York Fashion Week? What do you think the future of it? What lies in the future? Mr. Abstract, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think the future of New York Fashion Week is gonna be kind of like how, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Fifth Element, but like fashion is evolving. Technology is also evolving with fashion. So like, everything is getting different. Technology is being integrated into fashion. So I think that is gonna be the next step. Fabric is being transformed in so many different ways. Like you could walk outside with a whole leotard and you would not be cold in 10-degree weather. That's a typical example that a lot of people are experimenting. It's just one example, but that's my philosophy on the future of New York Fashion Week.
I respect that. Kayla?
Kayla?
Yeah, I'm still here. So I wanted to switch it over kind of from a point of view since we are in a pandemic. So I read an article where Mark Beckham, he's the vice president of marketing and events for the CFDA. And so I don't know if everybody knows, but of course, Fashion Week is a week, but now it's cut down to 3 days.
Yes.
So, if you've ever been into New York during Fashion Week, it's very hectic. There's always events going on. So he said that they could fit, the company in whole could fit Fashion Week into 3 days because there's no need for travel time in between shows. So my question is do you think that 3 days is enough for Fashion Week? So I'll ask Johnny Abstract first since he's been in Fashion Week or attended.
Honestly, 3 days, which is 72 hours, is not enough time for Fashion Week because there's so much to experience and absorb and see and network with. Like, even though with this whole pandemic, there's still a lot that can be like showcased and like there's so many different cultures to meet and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So 72 hours for Fashion Week I don't think is enough time. The last Fashion Week that I went to and featured myself in was I visited for like 2 weeks, after party networking with
Mr. Abstract, we're having a little trouble hearing you. You sound like you're drifting further away.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. No, I was just basically saying that 72 hours is not enough time for Fashion Week. Fashion Weeks are normally like between a week, 2 weeks to showcase, everyone and, to be able to, network and collab and communicate with different people and, just to absorb, the experience, just, branch out, you know what I mean? That's an opportunity to branch out and really, test, your, what I mean? Like just overall, just, test yourself in that area of fashion.
I will agree with Mr. Abstract. I don't think 72 hours is enough. But I know that the fashion industry is very creative. That's what the fashion industry is. It's creativity. So the way of presenting and having Fashion Week and having it, the platforms, the virtual, all the things that they're doing, we have to become even more creative in the way we do the presentation as we coming up with the collection. So I do agree with Mr. Abstract. I don't think it's enough. Ms. Sobro, did we hear from you?
No, I don't think that 72 hours is enough. I feel like in my opinion, the smaller designers like myself are going to be the ones that will probably not have the opportunities or will have the to present. If things are cut, it will be the smaller shows that will be the ones cut. So I don't feel like 72 hours is enough, but I completely agree that we are with you, Mr. Collins, that we are creative and that we need to adapt, and so that we don't get cut. And if he wants to make it 72 hours, then let's get creative and let's see what we can do to.
Because what it does is it forces your mind or forces your creativity to reinvent some things. It kind of forces you in a creative space of your mind to, what can I do to actually reinvent this same technique that I have, but present it in a different way that's more conducive for the time and the setting that we are now facing in America. So that could be a challenge, but it also can be a great, just a creative force in your mind. I don't know about you all, but I'm just a creative person. So I just think, I don't even think outside the box. I don't even think in a box. So it's like, I just think outside the hemisphere. That's just to me. Kayla, did you have anything else to add?
Well, we need to address the question to Claire Elizabeth. She has
I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask the same question to Claire Elizabeth.
I'm sorry, I didn't see her on here.
I think she's, wait.
Did we lose her?
I think we might have lost her, actually.
Yeah, that's why I forgot. I didn't see her.
Okay, well, Mr. Augustine.
She'll dial back in. When she comes back in, we'll address the question to her again.
Yes.
We have about 6 minutes remaining in the show time, but we can continue on. One of the things I'd like to do is to have each one of the fashion design brands give detail to the public. We're being live streamed on YouTube and on Facebook. We'd like for you to give your contact details for your brand. If someone is interested in doing business with you, or maybe a customer might be interested in your garments, if you could. And again, all four of our guests today will be showcasing their collections physically at PLITZS New York City Fashion Week during Fashion Week here in New York at the Calum Gallery in the Gallery District here in New York on Tuesday, September 15th. Visit www.plitz.com. That's P like Paul, LITZS.com /NYC Fashion Week. If we can, let's start ladies first. Sue, if you can give us your social media websites, phone number, email, where can individuals contact you if they're interested in your brand?
Yes, my website is sobro.com, and that should be live this weekend. I have a personal assistant finally, and she is working on it. And my phone number is area code 434-329-8383. I'm on Facebook under Sobro, and I am also on Instagram under Sobro. And email is Sobro, SEWBREAUX, CO@gmail.com, or melissa@sobro.com. And I think I've covered all of them.
And spell bro for us, just so the audience don't have a mix-up.
BREAUX is an X-ray.
Great. Thank you very much, Sue. Mr. Augustine, if you could give us details on your brand contact. And by the way, if you didn't get to write everything down as you're hearing it live, please feel free to visit our website and just click on the show schedule. You'll be able to see each one of our show guests. Their designer brand profile is listed with their contact details. Just go to plitz.com. That's P like Paul, LITZS.com /NYC, like New York City, Fashion Week. Plitz.com /NYC Fashion Week. Click on the show schedule, and you'll be able to see all four guests on our show schedule and their contact details listed by clicking into their profile, and you're free to communicate with them directly. So, Mr. Augustine, if you can, just give the audience directly your public contact.
At the moment, I only have an Instagram page, which is Fresh Off. If you type it, you're gonna see it with a PH, not F. We don't have any. I didn't put any website or like. We do have an email is on the page. I didn't put any website because we don't have anything to sell at the moment. Because basically, any project that I ever work on was personal and or for my school or anything was one-on-one design. So we don't have anything. Basically, the first collection I'm doing, that's the first collection I'm gonna be having up to show to sell also.
Can you give us your Instagram again, letter by letter, just so the audience gets it?
Give me 1 second. It's PHRESHOFF.
Okay, at Instagram. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
Next, Mr. Abstract, if you could, just give the public some detail on your fashion design brand. Did we lose Mr. Abstract? He's still there. Just needs to unmute.
Okay, so give me a second. So this collection, 2020 Vision, is going to be the front line for this year's New York Fashion Week. Currently, I'm working on another collection for January, February, for fall, winter, and spring, summer. If anyone is interested in further details or purchases or whatever, or any networking or anything like that, you can reach me at abstract, the word abstract, and then .llc. That's my Instagram profile. I'm also going to be working on a modeling agency. I have my other apparel site connected to abstract.llc, my Instagram page. The website that I have is going to be recreated for the winter for 2020, going into 2021. I'm just, very grateful to be working with Fashion Week this year, regardless of this annoying pandemic. But I look forward to meeting everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abstract. We're up against our show time at 7:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in New York. I just want to express my gratitude to all our guest panelists today. I know, again, we're in a pandemic, so it's kind of rough sometimes, kind of predicting where you're going to be sometimes. So we do appreciate that they made themselves available. We want to thank Mr. Augustine. We'd like to thank Sue. We'd like to thank Mr. Abstract and Miss Elizabeth Clear. Even though her line dropped, she said she was in a bad reception area, but we were pleased to have her. And I'd also like to thank our two show hosts, Ms. Samuels, Mr. Collins, and also our behind the scenes team. I'd like to thank Juan, Brandon, and Juliana. We'd love for you to tune in for episode number 4 next month for Designer Style Buys Roundtable, where we'll have 3 new guests. Would like to tell everybody, please stay safe and healthy, and we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you again, and we hope to see you soon. And thank you again to our guest panelists. Have a great evening, everybody. Please stay safe and healthy. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chief.
Thank you.